In today's clip, I'll go over what I think is required before you need to move on from doing your own taxes. Hey, XenPuck here. So it's that time of year again when the IRS come a-collectin'. I don't know about you, but I've always felt anxious this time of year. Used to be, I loved tax seasons for that sweet, sweet refund. Then I learned that getting a refund essentially equates to me giving the US government an interest-free loan, and that sounded ridiculous, okay? As if our government needed my grand or two to finance its massive social or military programs. Oh no, since realizing that, I was like, man, I just want to pay the actual amount I owe, not less nor more, okay? The good thing is, in this day and age, it's not too hard to find an online service that lets you do your taxes relatively easily. So today I want to address when does one graduated from using TurboTax or HRblocks of the world and graduate to an actual accountant, right? And how you know when that time has come. I think I'm a pretty easy example for this type of progression, as I've had blue-collar jobs and white-collar jobs, and my income has changed dramatically over my 16-year regular working career. So I'll be using myself and my experience as a guinea pig today. So number one, so first we have to talk about the actual services that I've used and how they are. And I've done and used both TurboTax and HRblocks. All right, I think I picked HRblocks first because there was some promotion about how you can, do your taxes for free 1 year, at least federal. But eventually, I settled on using mostly TurboTax for pretty much the first 10 years of my working career. To be honest, I didn't notice too much of a difference between the two services. They are perfectly adequate for most people whose situation is simply, oh, I have one corporate employer and pretty much all my income comes from a single W-2. TurboTax specifically has gotten pretty good at importing your W-2, at least the last time that I used it, right? It does a fine job listing all types of exemptions that you may qualify for. So this style of entry is simply like a checklist, right? Now, makes most of us who doesn't know the tax code in detail feel much more at ease. I reckon that's exactly why they designed the UI this way, right? And TurboTax specifically will try to upcharge you by having a real professional check your work, so providing you with some human customer service to give you a peace of mind, I suppose. I don't have a problem with this because if my situation is really as simple as having just one W-2 and say some student loans, TurboTax fits my bill, and I probably don't even need any additional peace of mind at all, okay? Now think back to the last time you have bought yourself an iPhone, right? If you didn't take that AppleCare warranty as an addition to your phone purchase, then I'm guessing you are of the type of personality that do not need the additional tax professional to check over your simple tax returns either. So, Phase 2, right? So when did I grow out of TurboTax's simple forms and additional line of human support for an actual accountant? Well, basically when I was a few years into my big tech job, when I moved states, that's where things got complicated, right? Initially, I was like, I don't want to deal with additional layers of, having to consider two different state tax returns. Also, my income stream has moved on from that point of just being salary and bonus because the big tech company was starting to give me stock options and restricted stock units. The implications of selling these are not covered anywhere in TurboTax's simple forms, right, in terms of like capital gains. And finally, I've also started to actually grow tired of TurboTax's live human support service, right? The issue here, I think, is crucial. And basically, while they do provide you with a human that you can talk to, when you're filling out your own form via TurboTax, you're not really talking consistently to any specific person in particular, right? When I moved on, let's say, to my local accountant, that guy was my guy. I can ask him questions all throughout the year. That's not the case with an online services human support staff, right? Every year you get somebody different and you have to re-explain your whole situation again, right? To me, that was really the straw that broke the camel's back, right? Having an accountant behind you who can actually explain to you the context of changes in the tax code from year to year, to me, that's totally worth even a few $100s, right? Again, you have to look at your own situation. If a few $100s is a huge percentage of your refund or the amount of taxes you owe, obviously that might not be a good deal. But for me, a few hundred bucks is totally fine. So now point number 3. So what can we gather from my personal experience as to when you should stop doing your own taxes? Now I'd say this is actually a really simple answer, right, to this relatively personal question, but a simple answer, which is how much complexity do you want to deal with, right? As far as I can tell, no one likes to do their own taxes. Almost no one, right? Well, this is a systemic issue that's very particular to the US because the US tax code is just incredibly bloated. It's not really going to change or go away anytime soon. So if you're starting to make money from multiple streams, if you're starting to make money from investments, if your job is putting you in a position where you have to file, states taxes in multiple states, or any other combination of factors that makes your head balloon, right? Whenever you think about the subject matter, then I think it's time to move on to a consistent professional, right? Generally, I'd say for a regular working Joe, it'd take about, you'd have to get to like mid-career to require an accountant. Of course, in this day and age, if you have a small digital business, a dropship business, an influencer business, right, like a YouTube channel, something like this, you might require one much earlier, right? Remember, the whole point of paying a professional is so that you can concentrate your time on what you actually love to do instead. And frankly, nobody but accountants really enjoy reading through the hundreds of pages of new tax codes every few years. Fight me if you disagree, but I'm pretty sure that's the case. So in conclusion, I'd say obviously everyone's situation is different and personal, right? Well, usually I'd advocate self-educating on matters related to personal finance. I would actually make an exception in the realm of taxes, okay? I mean, I am pretty nerdy. I like math. I still find reading the tax code extremely taxing. So unless you're one of those few people who really love taxes, just go get a guy or gal to do that for you already, okay? After all, I especially assume my audience are well on their way to financial independence and therefore can, relatively speaking, easily afford one, right? So cheers. Thanks for listening. Check out some of my other clips on the corners above. And oh, I forgot to mention the whole comment, like, and subscribe, all that jazz as well. See you.